A very special episode of AI Applied. I've been waiting to do this episode for a long, long time. Jaeden's probably been waiting to do it for even longer. As you know, Jaeden built AI Box, but even since I've known Jaeden, he's been working on this really extraordinary function, which is now, I think, Jaeden, really ready for prime time, which is amazing. AI Box Builder. So the thing that I'm super psyched about, and the one I want to talk to Jaeden about today, is not just what this does, but really how it is going to impact how all our workflows change. We've all heard this a million times, large language models, chatbots, they help with information, knowledge, everything else, but we are entering the agentic era, the workflow era, the time where these tools can actually help us accomplish things and not just think through things. And so Jaeden is going to explain this better than anybody. But Jaeden, first of all, guys, this is our podcast. You guys are our people. I just want to sort of like have everybody stand up wherever you are, even if you're driving, and give a giant round of applause to Jaeden. And I know a serious team out there on AI bots. Jaeden, I know you've been working on this forever. Can't wait to hear about it. Let's hear what sort of like what you've built and what you're excited about.
Yeah, okay, so really, really excited. And yeah, thank you to everyone. We've had thousands of people from the podcast come in and trying out AI Box. So like a really big thank you to everyone. Getting tons of amazing feedback. Our builder we just launched in beta, so we've already gotten a bunch of interesting like new feature ideas from listeners of the podcast and like pushed them out. So it's kind of exciting to get good feedback and see some cool use cases. And for everyone that's been listening, for like the last, I think, probably like 4 months, we've had our launch product, which is our playground, right? So you guys have probably heard us talk where you can, for $20 a month, you get access to all of the different AI models out there. You can use our defaults, basically ask questions, and it will pick the best model to respond. And we finally have built what we've been working on for the last 2 years, which is the builder. So essentially this allows you to build actual tools using an AI prompt. So you can kind of think of it like Lovable, if you've tried that, where you describe a website and it will generate it, except in this case, you're actually creating functioning tools. The thing we found that was like a major pain point in the past was there's, these kind of fun UI designers, but something that actually builds a tool that runs and functions and like does a task, the other tools weren't built up for. So we basically used our framework. We used all of our infrastructure with all of our different AI models and tied it in and created this. So yeah, I mean, I'll explain kind of how it works and the types of things you can do with it.
Yeah, and let me just sort of paint a picture for folks too, just in case you haven't used Lovable very often. As you know, AI Box, we've talked about it before. It's a great tool because you pay $19 a month and you get to use all the tools. So we're all familiar with using ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, all those things. If you're listening to this, you've probably tested out a lot of those models. The really cool thing about AI Box is always that you could just sort of like for one price, you get access to everything. But one of my favorite things about AI Box, which I just do naturally on my own, is I test answers against different models, as probably a lot of folks out there too. So you can imagine the interface there, right? Even if this is an audio medium, obviously, but we can all kind of imagine what it looks like to have a chatbot and to have a few things running side by side. Jaeden, talk to us about the interface. When people come onto this and they're about to start doing it, people who have not used Lovable, what would they be seeing? Like for people who are like, well, I don't know, I don't really vibe code. I've heard about Lovable.
Yeah, so the first thing, basically, when you come to the builder, it's like a canvas. You can click and drag around. You have the option to do a couple things. You can click and drag AI models on and put a prompt in. So just like you'd use ChatGPT or something different, you could pull an AI model on and say, tell me a joke. You can run it and it's going to output something for you.
And it looks like you're sort of like, just imagine if you just had a whiteboard and a kind of like a magnet that was called ChatGPT and you sort of like stuck it on there. I'm watching what Jaden's doing. It's just kind of like that. You could kind of like move it all around this kind of blank canvas on your screen.
So in this case, I just pulled Opus 4.1 in. I said, tell me a joke. It said, why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make everything up. So you can create something like that. It's a joke generator. Obviously, it's not very sophisticated. What we've just built now that's much more complex is we now also have the ability for you. We have this AI builder at the bottom where you basically can describe a full tool. So linking together multiple models, doing kind of complex tasks, and it will build that whole tool for you.
So people can visualize it. It looks like ChatGPT, except down below, instead of saying, hey, what's your question? It said, enter your workflow. And Jaeden has just sort of entered his prompt on what he needs to do at, for example, work or something like that.
And so I'll read you this prompt that I generated. So it says, create a newsletter generation tool. I need to be able to upload 3 full articles, and you need to summarize each one in 2 bullet points and generate a title for each one that is hyperfactual and 4 words long max. Each summary needs an image generated matching what's happening and also an audio clip with 11 labs that gives a concise 250-word overview of all 3 stories. Also generate relevant jokes at the top of the newsletter and a related fun fact at the
It's
bottom.
amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Cool.
I mean, it's basically like just you describe it in all whatever you want to do. It will go ahead and generate this stuff. It takes a couple minutes. It's basically parsing through exactly what you're trying to build. It's picking different AI models. It's generating prompts inside of the AI models as well. And then it's actually going and designing what the tool looks like. So the front end of the tool, like if you have, you could use this for yourself. Eventually we'll have a marketplace where you can post it there. And if anyone else uses it, you'll get paid for it. So it's designing what the listing looks like, and it's designing kind of what the full output of this tool would look like. So in the meantime, I'll show you a couple that we have built while this thing is generating. So once you create it, the cool thing is you can actually just go on and edit like previous tools that you've made. So here, I think it might have even been the same prompt. What you can see is you'll see this box here that it's written the prompt for how this tool works. It says, analyze the following 3 articles and create professional titles and bullet point summaries for each. There's something cool that's inside of here, and they're called variables. And this is basically something that no other tool has, but it makes this super, super powerful. So if you can see what it looks like, there's kind of these like purple bubbles, and the bubbles are variables. It's a place where you can input data. So here we have article 1, 2, 3, and these are the places where if someone was to use this tool, it would say, input your first article here. You put it in, and the whole tool, anytime it references that article or the content of that article, it can reference back to that variable. So it's almost like you're kind of creating a data point that one of these nodes, the audio one, it's got to go reference back to what happened in article 1 for its summary and what happened in article 2. And when it's creating the images, they got to reference back to that article. So every element of this is able to go reference back to those data points. So they're called variables. And you can essentially connect together all of these nodes. And of course, the beautiful part is sometimes it looks kind of overwhelming or complicated if you've seen these automations on N8N or Zapier or Maker Bubble. The nice thing is all of this is generated for you with the AI. So it's not like
so just to sort of describe that, and for folks who haven't used those tools or anything like that, again, you have this canvas, and when you're making a flow chart and you have like a node or a box or something, and then it's like, okay, that connects to this. That's essentially what Jaeden is creating on this thing, or really just through his prompt, it has created all these nodes. So it starts with what Jaeden was just describing, which is, hey, analyze these following 3 articles, and it'll grab the 3 articles. And then there's a flow, right, to the next thing. For those of you who have vibe coded and done this stuff, this will seem very, basic and understandable. However, I know there's a lot of us out there who have not done this. So I just want to kind of like describe. So Jaeden, it kind of goes through that first process, and then the flow goes to the next workflow, right? I mean, this is why we call it a workflow. So what then sort of like talk us through like what's the next thing it's going to? Because I see the first box, that first thing you've talked about. So what's been created there?
This first node is where you'll upload your 3 articles like we told it to do. And it will take those articles and it's created a prompt to create images, right? So we asked it to create like a kind of a header image for each article. So it will spit that over to Ideogram where it says, create a visually striking professional illustration that represents the following article summary. And then it's connected to that first article summary. And it has 3 of those. So there's 3 nodes here that are all image generation. So it's kind of generating those 3 pieces of the article. It then will go and spit that into the 11 labs node. So if you click over on the 11 labs one, you can see it says create a compelling 250-word audio script.
Oh, I see. So it's splitting out. So, yeah. Okay. So, and sorry to keep on doing this, but it's so interesting for me. And again, if people can't envision this, if you haven't seen this before, this is kind of the first time I'm seeing it like this. So what the tool did, what AI Box did, is go and create sort of a more sophisticated prompt and put it into 11 labs. So it's creating kind of like both the prompt and then splitting it out into that workflow. So the first thing is the articles, and now it's splitting out the 11 labs thing into it. It's actually like, it's super cool. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. And then it has the 3 other nodes that are done with ChatGPT 5. What you'll see is I'm running this box live as we're talking now. So if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you can see it. Otherwise, we'll explain it. But below each of the nodes, you can see the output. You can also come over to like the sidebar and see what the outputs look like over here as it generates them. But you can basically see underneath of it, like what each part is creating. And what's interesting is not every part, like not everything that the AI generates is used, right? So this first section, it's like creating summaries, but it's giving those summaries to like an image generator or an audio generator to do something different with it. So it's
Hmm.
kind of refining it. Oh, and the other interesting thing it does is it creates like dummy or like sample data. So like in the case of these 3 articles, I didn't actually go and paste in 3 articles, but it created sample articles. I'll show you what the whole tool looks like. But basically, you can see down here we have these kind of like interesting images that Ideogram is generating for
Oh,
this
wow.
newsletter that depend on the different topics that we've put in.
Could I ask, did you, so
Yeah.
what I'm seeing here, again, sort of like those nodes or boxes on sort of that whiteboard thing, I watched in real time just now as each one is creating a different image, which was very cool. Did you tell it to use Ideogram, or how did it know to use Ideogram?
It just determined that as the best image generator for this
Okay.
particular task. But you can switch. So if you want to switch the model, you just click
Hmm.
on the model here, and you could go and maybe I'm like, you know what, Black Forest Labs Flux is better. So now I've switched it to Flux. So if I regenerate this, once this is done, it will recreate this image
Oh,
with
wow. Okay,
Flux
cool.
instead,
Very
which
cool.
is
Yeah.
kind of nice because sometimes like, right here, it's selected to use GPT-5 for basically everything. But maybe some things are like, maybe you want GPT-5 because it's a little bit more analytical to like come up with the summaries of the articles. But then when you write them to, maybe for the joke that it writes, you want to use like Claude because Claude is like wittier
Mhm.
or has a better tone for jokes. So you could just go and switch what model basically is powering each of these tools. You can see up here, there's 11 labs. So 11 labs is basically listened to all of the content and it's created an audio
Oh,
file
yeah.
here
Right. So,
of
like,
the
again, under this box is now like an audio file that you can play, just like under some of the boxes, an image. It's actually it's a pretty cool layout. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so this is what we call the builder. So here on the builder is basically how you can kind of like make these tools, you can test them, you can try them, you can watch it generate all this different stuff. Then you have the design tab. It starts off as like a very basic white sort of design where it's telling you, paste your first article here, and this is the dummy text. Or if you were actually using this as a tool, you just paste your article here in order to create this output. If you
Mhm.
want to, you can also style this though. We have a bunch of like different styles you could do dark mode with yellow text and
Oh, that's cool.
you
Yeah.
can you can also do custom design like custom styles on this. So if you wanted to do
Yeah.
like a if you want to do like some sort of brand colors, or if you wanted to create like an image in the background of this, you can go and kind of create custom
Yeah, it's a
designs by
little
just
it looks a
uploading this.
little like Canva, just so people can sort of understand. Like on the
Yeah.
left, it's just like different fonts, different background. Yeah, okay, got it. Very cool, yeah.
So like I just uploaded like a different font, or I can upload my brand logo onto it, and you'll be able to see that. You can also design your listing. So we
Mhm.
by default name your tool, and you can go change the name, to whatever you want. But you can create a listing, a description, so people that are using it know how to actually use the tool. You can kind of create custom images and stuff. You're then able to go to the output section. So in the output section, you're designing when it creates whatever it's creating, how does it display? So right off the bat, when I come over and look at the design section, I'm seeing it's kind of displaying like it was just doing its best as an AI, but it just throws like all of the images right
Right,
back to back. And maybe for
right.
something like this, I want every image to be on top of a piece of text. So you can just drag and drop and change the order of all of
Mhm.
the pieces that are outputted here. You can kind of move this around, and you can also label what this is creating. So, right now it called it generated media content, but I'd probably call this like, newsletter output or something like
Mhm.
that for
Mhm.
people that are using this tool. So you can customize how it runs. And then once you do that and you like it, if you go back to your builder where you see all of your different tools, so we now have this newsletter generator pro here. If you click on run box, you're now going to see what this looks like to run it every time. So you'd put your first article in, your second article in, you'd click
Mhm.
run, and now it's going to go and generate your output, kind of how we designed it with the images and the text and the audio.
For me, again, if you're out there and you do a lot of vibe coding, this is all going to seem very intuitive. But for those of you who don't, it's a really cool way of starting this process of, hey, I really want to create a newsletter. How can I automate this? And I'm very careful with the word automation because you have to be in there and actually, kind of like feeding it the right stuff and making sure the quality is good and everything else. But this idea that you're showing now, and I know this is in audio, it's a little trickier. I encourage people to go out and check it out. But this idea that, especially when you just start with simple workflows, you just get better and better and better at it. And you just get, you sort of keep improving the prompts and keep improving this in the same way that you might improve your prompts if you're using Claude or Gemini or anything like that. So Jaeden, for you, who's sort of like the main audience for this? Like if people are listening, like, is it people who are just kind of like doing, oh, I have my own little thing, or can people use this inside a company, or is this just to speed up like little individual workflows for entrepreneurs? Or when you guys were creating this, how do you see like the target audience for this?
What's really powerful about this, of course, if you just want to like do a chat with all of the different AI models, you can use AI Box for that, where you just chat with it. This specific tool builder is basically if you have tasks that are kind of complex, or there's multiple steps to them, and you do them over and over again. You don't really want to have to sit there, like I remember my first job out of college was working at, well, I guess I was teaching college was my first job out of college. But after that, my first job was working at an education company in marketing, and every single Monday we had to put out this like member newsletter thing, and it was the same thing every time. I had to write these different subsections, I had to generate graphics, I had to make like these different images, and it was just every Monday, a very repetitive task, and it would basically take me all of Monday to put it together and to get it signed off and approved and all this different stuff I had to do. Today, I would be able to probably spend 30-40 minutes getting the ideas, the concepts, and the content together, and then push a button and it would just generate the whole thing. I remember, I used to create this and I would have to send it off to the publication team, and they would check the grammar on it, and they would come back with edits, and like there's this whole process. So today you could spend 30 minutes putting that together, click a button, and the whole newsletter would be generated. You could use this for like contracts or documents that you have to create on a repetitive basis. I know at AI Box we have a lot of interns, so like our internship agreements, you could have a tool where you basically put the intern's name in, and for us internally, it would just generate our internship agreement, and maybe, you put like their start and end date and a couple like different variables, and it could create that document for you. So there's a lot of different tools that if you do something on a repetitive basis, we'll find this really useful for that.
Yeah, it's super helpful. And again, you could have started some like, wacko clothing company, and I'd still probably be like, Jaeden, great job. But like in this case, it's actually unbelievably helpful, which is why we want to sort of like highlight it. Also, just Jaden's been working his tail off on this. It's such an amazing thing. Again, like I'm always happy for Jaeden. I would always sort of like, I'm in his corner no matter what. But this really is something that's unbelievable, especially for something that I do. So maybe, I kind of feel like other people could try it too. This is why I asked Jaeden if we could, just focus on this for today. Jaeden, sort of as we're wrapping up, talk about like where people can find it, like how they can sort of like test it out.
Yeah, so you can go to aibox.ai to try it out. There's both the playground to access all the different AI models, and also the builder. It's on the same account, so you get access to both of the tools for $20. If you try it and you're like, oh my gosh, is great, I wish it could have like this feature, or I wish it could, you could do XYZ, let us know. Send me a message on LinkedIn. So we're adding features like every day. We push out a new feature. Yeah, it's really fun. It's exciting. It's cool to hear what people are interested in building and to be able to create it. So go give it a try. Let me know what you think. And again, thank you so much to everyone that's already tried AI Box. We're making this better every day, and it's thanks to a lot of you, the podcast listeners that are trying it out and giving us great feedback.
No, it's and again, thank you guys for all your investment of time and energy and everything else. And Jaeden, obviously, congratulations to you and your team. I know you have a phenomenal team working with you as well. Guys, go out, try it out. aibox.ai. It was already useful. Now it's super exciting. Test it out. Let us know what you think. Give them ideas for new features, everything else. But in other words, really at the end, we just want to sort of say like, thank you for investing your time and energy into this podcast, but also into AI Box. You really do make this kind of thing happen. You guys are the best, and we will see you next time.